Breaking today, Meghan Markle breaks her agreement with King Charles and Buckingham Palace to leak to her friends at People magazine less than a week after that promised meeting with Charles and Queen Camilla. Meanwhile, Prince Harry has arrived back in the United States completely fine, proving the point that I have made, by the way, for months and years, that they can travel in and out of the UK with their children privately with absolutely no issues whatsoever. What is quite notable, though, is that Meghan Markle didn't attend the Time 100 event with Harry. Certainly, when the chips are down, she don't want to be seen with her Duke. Ms. Pepper is no longer interested in the salt shaker, if you understand what I mean. Torre Buckahay writing, Prince Harry, the bonehead who sinks millions into failed privacy actions and who says camera flashes terrify him, is now doing cheesy "have you got my best side, guys" camera turns at celebrity galas like he's Meghan Markle's sugar lump veneers. Hypocritical old ham. And indeed, he was loving this event so much overnight that he even praised the photographers, who he usually claims to despise. England football fans like me are bonehead racists. But as you saw from that People magazine cover, they couldn't hold their silence. What they had told King Charles was a lie, because look at that. Harry's royal reunion at last. His family visit Charles as new drama unfolds inside Prince Harry's turbulent UK visit, from a public palace dispute to a crushing court loss to a long-awaited reunion with King Charles alongside Meghan, Archie and Lily. But why this matters, of course, is that we know that Prince Harry has in the past directly emailed People magazine. We know that People magazine effectively operates as like the house journal for the Sussexes. And we know that Meghan Markle wanted it to be known to the world that the choreography of this meeting was nothing to do with her. Look at the headline. Meghan Markle always lets Prince Harry lead when it comes to the royal family. There's a lot of sadness over how the week unfolded and that she wasn't able to be by his side throughout the visit. A source tells People. Well, again, you know it matters to me that I'm open about where these sources come from, and certainly in the case of People magazine, it is either directly from Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, directly from one of their friends, or directly from their communications team, at the moment the hapless Liam Maguire. And I think the reporting directly contravenes what Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had agreed with the palace, which was that there was to be no briefing around this visit to try and shape the narrative in favour of one party. But she can't help herself, can she? So this is the cover report where People says the Duchess planned to be by her husband's side for several outings. However, there was an about face when security concerns prevented her and their two children from a full visit to Harry's home country. Now, again, this is totally intellectually dishonest reporting from People magazine. There's been no about face. Nothing has changed. Like, they got the security that has already been agreed. So no about face, just to correct that. Anyway, it goes on. Although she returned to England for the first time since 2022 for a private reunion with King Charles, Meghan didn't make any public appearances during the trip. A source who knows the couple, oh, I wonder who, tells People in this week's exclusive cover story that she would have felt humiliated, oh, poor Meghan, humiliated watching the public back and forth unfold. Another source tells People Meghan is very supportive of Harry, adding there's a lot of sadness over how the week unfolded and that she wasn't able to be by his side. However, another insider adds when it comes to Harry's dealings with his family, she always lets him lead. Behind the scenes, the drama surrounding the visit was quite stressful, says a source close to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, so we're meant to feel sorry for them here. Eventually, it was decided that Prince Harry would return to the UK solo for the week of charity events, with Meghan and the children returning to England later in the week for the reunion. For those close to Harry, the public wrangling was as frustrating as it was familiar. This is not the first time. It has not been plain sailing with correspondence or trying to make things work, tells a well-placed source. It all comes back to security. If that was resolved, there would be so much more certainty every time he comes or they come. Can I just give Harry and Meghan a newsflash? It's been resolved a long time ago. There is nothing to resolve. You're not getting it unless there's a specific threat. So you're the ones creating this constant drama. And you know that. It's just People magazine lying. One of the clearest reminders of Meghan's absence came at the one-year countdown to the 2027 Birmingham Invictus Games on July 10, where she had originally been expected to appear alongside Harry. Invictus is Harry on his A game. It was look at what you're missing, adds Simon Vigo, author of the upcoming Four Wives of Windsor. It's a crying shame. Meghan and Harry could have been absolutely transformative for the royal family. So what you're getting here, and I'm just pointing it out to you, is just full-on pro-Sussex propaganda, because actually Meghan could have been there. She planned to be there. My belief is the reason she didn't attend is because she didn't want to be pictured with Prince Harry on the week that he had the most significant courtroom loss in modern history. He is a loser. She didn't want to associate with him this week because, again, nothing in the security has changed. People went on. Prince Harry and Meghan's police protection in the UK was stripped after they stepped back from their royal roles and relocated to her home state of California in 2020. The Duke of Sussex has long sought to have it reinstated. People understands that a long-awaited review of Harry's security by Ravik is still ongoing. So yeah, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Let me bring in royal reporter extraordinaire, a long-time member of the Royal Rota and royal exclusive breaker, but also now independent on the Robert Jobson Substack. Jobbo, so great to have you here. Can we kick off with Prince Harry last night at this Time 100 event? So surely now, Jobbo, tell me if I'm wrong, but surely we now have proof that he can fly in and out of the UK, sight unseen, no paparazzi pictures, no security troubles whatsoever. So what's his issue?
Well, I think that'll probably be a big issue for him because they do love a controversy because it boosts their brand, it boosts their numbers. But the reality is, you summed it up brilliantly in that intro. But, you know, this has been a fiasco. It's been a circus. But actually, has it really hit anybody? You know, I thought actually it was quite, after all the toing and froing, it was quite low key. The bigger picture was on Wows's and them at Wimbledon and William playing polo, and we didn't see her, and we saw a bit of him, but I mean it wasn't major stuff. It's stuff we've seen before. Him doing the Invictus the preamble to the Invictus Games. I thought that this whole nonsense about the security was something they've just dreamed up from their own team. If you speak to people in the intelligence services, there is no threat against Harry, and that is why Ravik have not stepped up the security. If there was, the security level will be higher, and he would get an appropriate security as long as he gave them the notice that is required to actually do that review. The other thing is, look at what else would have happened really on this one, Dan, is if I think he nearly played the palace, nearly got away with it, because in the week he knew when that case was coming back. He knew probably that what the result was going to be before anybody else. And the fact was, he is a prince, he calls himself a Prince of England and a stay-at-home dad, whatever he's supposed to be.
And the inventor of the Invictus Games, Jobbo, but no mention of Archewell.
He didn't, that isn't true, because he got that from America. I remember that it was the year before, it was called the Warrior Games.
Yeah, he stole the idea, basically.
He invented it. So, and that is a load of old nonsense. Although I'm not dissing the Invictus Games because I actually think it's a good thing. But, you know, we'll see how long it can go on for. Let's hope for a little bit longer. But, you know, this is a guy that was finally agreed to stay at Buckingham Palace. And luckily the palace pulled that away from him. But he was railing against the independent judiciary, calling it a whitewash, taking on the free press in a way that, frankly, is not really acceptable in a world that we're living in, when we're getting prime ministers coronated without even debate, and also attacking a high court judge, and also suing the government. These are the three pillars, you know, a free press, an independent judiciary, and a government that is elected, that his father, as the king, is there to secure. He stands to, you know, he is there to serve those pillars of the community. Otherwise, there is no point of a monarchy. And what worries me, and it does worry me actually, is that if Harry had been coming out of Buckingham Palace, the headquarters of monarchy, that would have been a really bad optic.
Well, I would go further than that, Jobbo. constitutional crisis. You know, if he had made that
Absolutely,
statement from within the rooms of Buckingham Palace, which is what he intended to do. Then can we move on to this People magazine briefing, Jobbo? Just before I get your take on it, our Substack colleague, Tom Sykes of The Royalist, very, very good. He's making the point that this leak is Meghan trying to make herself the victim in all of this somehow. So he writes, "What was it that was so awful this time, Pet? The audience with the king at his Highgrove sanctuary, the offer of an apartment at Buckingham Palace, maybe? No, apparently it was the very public way the back and forth about the visit was conducted." But Tom adds, Jobbo, hang on a second, it was her team that fired the starting pistol on making public this entire psychodrama by issuing unprompted an operational note to journalists confirming that the whole California quartet would be flying over for what the Sussex people were already thrillingly billing as a dramatic rapprochement with the entire UK. Harry knew the status quo of the last 6 years was in place and that Ravik had not magically upgraded his protection, but he went ahead and made arrangements that he then cancelled in public. So Sykes argues the only people responsible for this playing out in public were Harry and Meghan. The palace said nothing. They sat patient as a hall porter waiting for the couple to make up their minds about a hospitality offer that had been sitting on the table for months. It was Harry's people, his people, Tom just emphasises that point, and I think it's a point worth emphasising, who put the trip in the papers. His people who confirmed the children. His people who then days later put out a second announcement saying he was now reconsidering whether to bring Meghan and the children at all because of a security row that per the first announcement they had already accepted and were quite comfortable working around. So, Jobbo, given that context from Tom Sykes, which I think was brilliantly explained, actually, how on earth can Meghan Markle then leak to People magazine, contravening the agreement that they had made with Buckingham Palace, that she is somehow the victim in all of this?
She always plays the victim, and they were always going to leak it. It was a matter of time. Even I thought it was quite quick. How they've leaked.
They can't help themselves.
Detail. There'll be more detail that comes out about this, and it will all be positive about the Sussexes. I mean, the reality is that's what they're going to do. They're going to leak, and it's inevitable. I mean, it is inevitable. But with the whole business of this circus that came into town, effectively they were holding a gun to the king's head. There's nothing these children have done wrong, Archie and Lilibet, and I'm sure like me, feel they're totally innocent. But they are being used in a way that is pretty despicable, because what's the king supposed to be? You know, what's the king supposed to do? He's told his grandchildren are coming to England, and that his son and daughter-in-law would like him to meet them and to have some sort of interaction with them for the first time in 4 years, for the first time in their memory, really. Of course he's going to say yes. He's a kind man, really, the king. He's not going to not want to see his grandchildren.
Okay, is he a weak man, though, Jobbo, too?
Yeah, but, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? You're living with cancer. You know, you've got a certain amount of finite time in your life. I mean, he's seeing all sorts of people behind the scenes. Michael Fawcett, you know, who was got rid of as well. A lot of people being seen in this period, because of course a man without living with that, he doesn't know how long he's got, and so he's not going to turn that down. And that may be seen as weakness, but it certainly wouldn't have happened on the Queen's watch, the late Queen's watch, and I don't think it would happen if it was Prince William, no matter what the situation was going on. But this is a father and a father-grandfather situation. I slightly get that, but it was quite clear that they were going to be played here, and I'm just glad that they didn't get to stay at Buckingham Palace, headquarters of the monarchy, which I think would have been the worst op together. And I think that Sir Clive Alderson got away with one there by withdrawing that offer just in the nick of time. And if Harry accepted straight away, my goodness, would that have been a terrible, terrible look for the monarchy?
Totally, it would have been. That was a fast save. Personally, Jobbo, people might think it's harsh. I don't think they should have been offered accommodation within any royal residence. I don't think they deserve it. I think
that was really probably just down to the children's situation and the security around the children's situation who was going on about that. But didn't she fly in from Portugal?
Yeah, and it's still not good enough anyway.
And by the way, security, you know, it's nonsense. And is Birmingham less safe than London? And the whole thing about the security, I mean, a number of people intelligence services say there are no threats.
Well, no, and of course,
really
Colombia and Nigeria
terrible.
are much more dangerous. Can I just say?
Well,
Oh, and Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah. Come on, I think we've had enough of this sort of boy child, this man child. That his performance on that podcast talking about his grooming was really, you might.
People magazine has become an important source in stories involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle because the publication has previously reported information about the couple and their lives in California. Whenever a new report involving the Sussexes or senior members of the royal family appears, royal commentators immediately begin examining where the information came from. That is exactly what is happening here. The latest coverage has prompted speculation about whether Meghan Markle or people close to her may have provided information to the publication. However, there is an important distinction that needs to be made. A report appearing in People does not, by itself, prove that Meghan Markle personally supplied the information. Unless Meghan, her representatives, or the publication directly identifies the source, describing the story as a confirmed leak would go beyond the evidence. That distinction is particularly important when discussing stories involving private conversations and family relationships. The story also brings King Charles III into the spotlight. Commentators have interpreted the latest reporting as another example of the continuing tension between the Sussexes and the wider royal family. King Charles has continued carrying out his duties as monarch, while Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have established lives and professional projects outside the working monarchy. That separation has naturally created two very different public narratives. Supporters of the Sussexes argue that Harry and Meghan have every right to tell their own story. Critics, however, believe that repeated reports concerning private royal matters can make existing family tensions even more difficult to resolve. The latest People coverage has therefore become another opportunity for commentators to debate where the Sussexes stand in relation to King Charles and the rest of the royal family. Prince William is another central figure in this discussion. As heir to the throne, William's relationship with his father and the future direction of the monarchy receive enormous public attention. Commentators frequently compare William's approach to royal life with Harry's decision to step away from official duties. The latest reports have once again encouraged speculation about whether the brothers remain deeply divided. However, much of the commentary surrounding their private relationship is based on reports and interpretation rather than direct statements from William himself. Neither Prince William nor Kensington Palace has publicly confirmed every interpretation being discussed online. Therefore, viewers should be cautious about treating claims regarding William's private feelings as established facts. This brings us to perhaps the biggest question surrounding the story. Was Meghan Markle actually responsible for information reaching People magazine? At this stage, that should be treated as an allegation rather than a confirmed fact. Royal stories frequently involve unnamed sources, friends of public figures, advisors, former staff members, and people familiar with a particular situation. That means identifying the true origin of information can be extremely difficult. A report may contain accurate information without the public knowing precisely who provided it. Consequently, calling Meghan the source simply because the report concerns matters connected to Harry and Meghan would be an assumption. The stronger and more responsible question is not simply, did Meghan leak it? The better question is, what evidence exists to identify the source? That is where viewers should focus. The latest controversy also fits into a much larger story surrounding Harry and Meghan. Since leaving their positions as senior working royals, the couple have continued building lives outside the monarchy. They have spoken publicly about their experiences, pursued charitable initiatives, developed media projects, and remained subjects of intense international coverage. At the same time, the royal family has continued with its own public agenda under King Charles and with Prince William preparing for his future role as monarch. These two paths increasingly operate separately. That separation is one reason even relatively small developments can generate enormous discussion. At this point, it is important to separate what can reasonably be established from what remains speculation. Prince Harry appearing at an event without Meghan can be discussed as an observable public appearance. But claims that Meghan personally leaked information, that Prince William reacted in a particular way, or that Harry's solo appearance proves a problem in his marriage require additional evidence. Those are interpretations, not automatically facts. The latest People coverage has sparked fresh speculation involving Meghan Markle, King Charles, Prince William, and Prince Harry. Harry's solo appearance has added another layer to the story, while commentators continue debating whether information reaching the media could have originated from Meghan's side. But at this point, the claim that Meghan personally leaked the information should be treated as an allegation rather than established fact unless stronger evidence or direct confirmation emerges. Likewise, Harry appearing alone should not automatically be interpreted as evidence of trouble in his marriage. The real story may be less dramatic than the headline suggests, but the continuing divide between the Sussexes and the royal family ensures that every new development will receive intense scrutiny. Now we'd like to hear from you.